The movie begins in a crowded Detroit theater where people are engrossed in a film. In the projection room, Paul the projectionist is reading a book about the lost colony of Roanoke, where an entire population mysteriously disappeared. Paul gets up to adjust the controls when the lights go out, plunging the theater into darkness. Using his headlamp, he walks inside the theater, only to find it completely empty. He walks into the hallway, where the lights suddenly turn on, revealing clothes and popcorn boxes scattered on the floor. He calls out for his colleagues and encounters a confused guard with a flashlight. The guard approaches someone in a dark corner, but his flashlight fails, and he vanishes, leaving only his clothes behind. Paul, now terrified, realizes something is terribly wrong. At a nearby hospital, Rosemary is also experiencing chaos. The place is dark and eerily empty. She navigates the hallways with a flashlight, finding an operation room with a patient left mid-surgery. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the patient vanishes. Distraught, Rosemary begins a frantic search for her baby Manny. Meanwhile, TV reporter Luke Ryder wakes up to find his partner missing. He extinguishes the candles by his bed, likely the reason he hasn't vanished. His phone is out of battery, and there's no power. Confused, he steps outside to find the streets littered with abandoned cars and clothes. Luke witnesses a plane crash nearby, adding to the chaos. He rushes to his workplace, finding it similarly deserted. Shadows subtly follow him as he moves through the empty office. 72 hours after the initial disappearances, Luke tries to start a car when a man with a broken lighter bangs on the window, pleading for help. Luke locks the doors and watches in horror as the shadows consume the man, leaving only his clothes behind. This harsh lesson teaches Luke about the danger of the shadows. As he continues his search for a working vehicle, he is observed by a little girl with a flashlight, who remains hidden from him. He finds a well-lit pub and enters, finding it deserted with clothes scattered around. He discovers a backup generator in the basement, but it's running low on fuel. Suddenly, a 12-year-old boy, James, confronts him with a rifle. James, a shy boy, nervously approaches Luke with fear etched on his face. He introduces himself and reveals that he and his mom were at the pub when everyone vanished. He's anxious because his mom went to the church seeking help but hasn't returned. Luke empathizes with James, understanding the anguish of losing family. He offers solace to James, but he knows their predicament is dire. The encroaching darkness looms, and time is running short. Luke urges James to leave before the generator runs out of fuel, but James insists on waiting for his mother, clinging to hope that she'll return soon. Rosemary bursts into the pub, her face twisted with panic as she frantically searches for her missing child. Gasping for breath, her heart racing, she accuses Luke and James of taking him. Luke raises his hands in a reassuring gesture, insisting they didn't take her child. James steps forward with a glass of water, offering it to calm her nerves. Accepting the water with trembling hands, Rosemary takes a sip, trying to steady herself. With tears welling in her eyes, she shares the heart-wrenching story of her child's disappearance. Earlier, Rosemary had been at the hospital when chaos erupted. She raced back home, fearing for her child's safety. But upon arrival, her baby is not there. Terrified, she wrestled with the terrifying possibility that her husband had taken their child. Clinging to a glimmer of hope, she dashed to the pub, where her husband often frequented, praying fervently that she would find them there. As she speaks, a distant cry for help echoes through the pub. Luke, James, and Rosemary exchange startled glances before Luke, feeling compelled to investigate, steps out of the pub. In the well-lit glow of the bus shed powered by solar energy, he discovers Paul crying out for help. Without hesitation, Luke offers assistance and brings Paul back to the safety of the pub, narrowly escaping the lurking shadows. Inside, Rosemary tends to Paul's wounds with care, ensuring his comfort. As Paul recovers, he shares the harrowing account of his survival, detailing how his headlamp provided a temporary reprieve from the encroaching darkness. He recounts the chilling moment when the shadows briefly overtook him before his light flickered back to life. Paul shares his knowledge about the lost colony of Roanoke, drawing parallels to their situation. He explains that the people left behind the word Croatoan, a mystery that has never been solved. This story highlights the eerie similarities to their current predicament. James recounts the initial chaos that engulfed the city. He recalls the frantic moments when he rushed back to their studio, desperate for any information or guidance amidst the darkness that descended upon the city. Upon reaching the studio, James stumbled upon a broadcast featuring a man who had miraculously survived the initial onslaught of darkness. The man's voice crackled through the static, offering a beacon of hope amidst the chaos, as he urged survivors to contact him in Chicago for sanctuary and safety. With a sense of urgency, James shares this vital information with the group, his voice tinged with a mixture of fear and determination. He emphasizes the importance of reaching out to the man in Chicago, seeing it as their best chance for survival in the face of the encroaching darkness. As the generator fuel dwindles, Luke proposes a daring plan: to fetch a nearby truck with functioning headlights for their escape from the city. They'll bring it back to the pub, attempt repairs, and hope for success. Rosemary hesitates at first, but eventually concedes. It's decided that James will remain with Paul while Luke and Rosemary embark on the mission to find the truck. In the subsequent scene, Rosemary and Luke successfully reach the truck and begin the arduous task of pushing it back to the pub. Meanwhile, Paul engages James in conversation, gradually succumbing to unconsciousness. Despite this, James urges him to stay awake, fulfilling Paul's request to play a cherished song. Lost in the music, James imagines the pub bustling with patrons, a brief respite from the chaos surrounding them. However, his reverie is interrupted when Paul requests water. As James heads to the sink, the lights flicker and extinguish, plunging the pub into darkness. Outside, Luke confides in Rosemary about his ex-wife, Anna, who resides in Chicago. Their conversation is interrupted by the appearance of the mysterious girl holding a torchlight. Luke attempts to approach her, but she flees into the night. In pursuit, Luke narrowly avoids being consumed by the encroaching shadows, saved only by the truck's headlights. Back at the pub, Paul awakens to find James' clothes abandoned on the floor. Concerned, he searches for James, discovering a door leading to a well-lit tunnel in the basement. However, his exploration leads to a dead end, and as the lights begin to dim, Paul is overtaken by shadows. Suddenly, reality shifts, revealing that Paul's journey to the tunnel was a dream. In truth, he remains unconscious, taken by the shadows while lying on the pool table. James returns to find Paul missing, realizing the gravity of the situation. Meanwhile, Luke and Rosemary find themselves in a dire situation as their torchlights simultaneously begin to dim due to dying batteries. Without a lighter to ignite the fuel for light, they decide to seek refuge in a nearby hospital, hoping to find an alternative light source. At the hospital, Luke manages to kindle a fire using a matchstick and a cloth, providing a temporary reprieve from the encroaching darkness. Rosemary sets off to locate rubbing alcohol, a potential fuel source for the fire. However, her journey takes an unexpected turn when she hears the cries of a baby and spots a stroller illuminated by a streetlight. Unaware of the shadow's sinister tactics, Rosemary approaches the stroller, only to realize too late that it is empty. In a moment of vulnerability, she is ensnared by the shadow's trap. Left alone, Luke somehow manages to navigate his way back to the pub with the truck, the weight of Rosemary's disappearance heavy on his heart. Luke finds James and together, they manage to utilize the backup generator to start the engine after several attempts. With relief flooding over them, they drive away from the pub, hopeful for escape. Their journey takes a sudden turn when they encounter an accident site directly in front of a church. James, consumed by worry for his missing mother, insists on entering the church to search for her. Despite Luke's warnings to remain in the safety of the car, James rushes inside the church, driven by his determination to find his mother. As Luke watches James disappear into the church, his eyes catch sight of a word carved into a nearby road sign: Croatoan. He rushes back to the church just in time to pull James away from the encroaching shadows, saving him from their grasp. Despite Luke's attempts to persuade the boy to leave with him, James remains steadfast, convinced that his mother is nearby, lured by the deceptive calls echoing through the darkness. As they stand in the eerie silence of the church, the car's headlights abruptly flicker off, plunging the scene into darkness. In a chilling moment, Luke disappears without a trace, leaving James alone amidst the flickering candlelight. Throughout the night, James sits surrounded by the fading glow of the church candles, a solitary figure in the dimness. With the arrival of dawn, James awakens to find himself miraculously unharmed, a survivor of the night's horrors. Soon after, James encounters the mysterious girl, Brianna, who reveals her survival secret, a solar flashlight. Together, they emerge from the church to find a horse waiting for them, a beacon of hope in the desolate landscape. Mounting the horse, James and Brianna set out on their journey, the promise of safety guiding their path. As the sun sets once more, the shadows of their lost companions linger, silently watching over them from afar. With their future uncertain but their determination unwavering, the movie concludes as James and Brianna ride into the distance, embarking on a new chapter of their survival. Vanishing on 7th Street tells a unique story about a world engulfed in darkness, blending horror and suspense. The pacing is slow at times, with certain scenes dragging on and contributing little to the overall plot. And while the mystery is interesting, some questions are left unanswered, which might annoy viewers. Despite good acting, some characters feel a bit flat and could use more depth. Overall, Vanishing on 7th Street has an interesting idea and atmosphere, but it might not keep everyone engaged due to its slow pace and unanswered questions. More exciting movies to come. So please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and click the thumbs like icon. Thanks for watching.